Alright, so I downloaded this specifically for this moment. So there's sections in the Great Reset from the World Economic Forum that perfectly encapsulates this moment, mostly centering around post-COVID years, but this was planned way before the crisis happened. Starting with section 1.6.1.2, the regulator, and 1.6.1.3, the firm, page 30, page 64. So, the regulator. This transition towards more digital of everything in our professional and personal lives will also be supported and accelerated by regulators. To date, governments have often slowed the pace of adoption of new technologies by lengthy ponderings about what the best regulatory framework should look like. But as the example of telemedicine and drone delivery is now showing, a dramatic acceleration forced by necessity is possible. During the lockdowns, a quasi global relaxation of regulations that had previously hampered progress in domains where the technology had been available for years suddenly happened because there was no better or other choice available. What was until recently unthinkable suddenly became possible, and we can be certain that neither those patients who experienced how easy and convenient telemedicine was, nor the regulators who made it possible will want to see it go into reverse. New regulations will stay in place. In the same vein, a similar story is unfolding in the US with the Federal Aviation Authority, but also in other countries related to fast tracking regulation pertaining to drone delivery. The current imperative to propel, no matter what the contactless economy and the subsequent willingness of regulators to speed it up means that there are no barred. What is true for until recently is sensitive domains like telemedicine and drone delivery is also true for more mundane and well covered regulatory fields like mobile payments. Just to provide a banal example, in the midst of the lockdown in April 2020, European banking regulators decided to increase the amount that shoppers could pay using their mobile devices while also reducing the authenticity requirements that made it previously difficult. To make payments using platforms like PayPal, Venmo, etc., such moves will only accelerate the digital prevalence in our daily lives, albeit not without contingent cybersecurity issues. The firm, in one form or another, social and physical distancing measures are likely to persist after the pandemic itself subsides, justifying the decision in many companies from different industries to accelerate automation. After a while, the enduring concerns about technological unemployment will recede as societies emphasize the need to restructure the workplace in a way that minimizes close human contact. Indeed, automation technologies are particularly well suited to a world in which human beings can't get too close to each other or are willing to reduce their interactions. Our lingering and possibly lasting fear of being infected with the virus, COVID-19, or another, will thus speed the relentless march of automation, particularly in the field much susceptible to automation. In 2016, two academics from Oxford University came to the conclusion that up to 86% of jobs in restaurants, 75% of jobs in retail, and 59% of jobs in entertainment could be automized by 2035, sorry. These three industries are among those the hardest hit by the pandemic, in which the automating for reasons of hygiene and cleanliness will be a necessity that is, in turn, will further accelerate the transition towards more tech and more digital. There is an additional phenomenon set to support the expansion of automation when economic distances might follow social distancing. As countries turn inward and global companies shorten their super efficient but high fragile supply chains, automation and robots that enable more local production while keeping costs down will be in great demand. So, some executive orders are implying a heavy post COVID landscape as Trump rolls back health precautions, especially with clowns like a Dr. Oz saying people don't have the right to health insurance, and RFK doing anti-vaccine movements in Samoa on 2019. So, such as rolling back equitable pandemic response and recovery, rolling back establishing a COVID-19 testing board, and ensuring a sustainable public health workforce for other biological threats in COVID-19. Removing, improving, and expanding access to care and treatment for COVID-19. Okay, and also rolling back economic relief related to COVID-19 pandemic, which in my opinion wasn't good enough anyways, but Trump removing it isn't going to help anything. So, I've mentioned this on my channel as a form of reasonable speculation, but bringing this back to the contactless economy from page 64 and the 2016 Oxford study about 2035 automation, the plot to remove the Postal Service might be fully automated, and possibly sooner than we imagined. While Trump and the Heritage uh, Foundation plan on unleashing Christian authoritarianism, rolling back the country back hundreds of years to the Comstock Laws and Alien Enemies Act, it's fused with Trump and big tech to install the 2035 AI infrastructure, bolstering insurance to dangle AI cancer cures on a stick. So, I'm just going to watch this for a little bit longer.
So my first day back from having a nice life, it's my honor to welcome three of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, is well beyond technology, sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man and amazing.
So if it wasn't for Trump bringing on these CEOs, and if it wasn't already for the Mar-a-Lago dinner that he had with Zuckerberg and Sam Altman and others, like this seals the deal again for the pattern.
Business person, but to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history. It's
Stargate.
all taking place right here in America. As you know, there's great competition for AI and other things, and they're coming in at the highest level. We're joined by Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, my friend Masa Yoshi-san, and CEO of OpenAI, and I would say by far the leading expert.
All right. So you get the drift. So, as the Great Reset lays out, the lack of trust in institutions and the pharmaceutical industry, as the co-author Angus Deaton wrote in Deaths of Despair and the Future of Capitalism, quote, that drug makers and hospitals will be more powerful and wealthier than ever, end quote, even as AI makes things far more achievable in terms of curing people, as we will wait and see how this escalates into further price gouging and claim denials. RFK's anti-vaccine involvement with AI cancer cures that those CEOs actually talk about in that video is going to be crazy with whatever new algorithm that's going to take place. So, and now it seems like we are entering into a literal dystopia, an AI segregated world. So, I've spoken about this, about how conservative fear mongering up to this point, about low birth rates and non white opportunities, has led up to this moment we're seeing. And it's basically complaining about the quota system that America has long had. But with civil rights being stripped, it actually mirrors, it's kind of a signal to old guard conservative founder of the National Review, William F. Buckley Jr., forming the Young Americans for Freedom, which is a pioneer of the America First movement, I believe. So, Buckley Jr. was against civil rights and openly believed in racial superiority needed to guide and educate African Americans. In a section from the wiki called Race and Segregation, which I'll be getting to in a moment. So, the center question, the central question that emerges, and this is from William F. Buckley Jr., is whether the white community in the South is entitled to take such measures as one necessary to prevail politically and culturally in areas where does it not predominate numerically? The sobering answer is yes. The white community is also so entitled because for a time being it is the advanced race. So, to remind you, Trump is rolling back the civil rights. If anyone thinks this is a pure and simple uh pure and simple complaint that someone has, your grandparents remember this. This is not a simple grievance that Trump is rewriting. Okay, so in the 1950s and early 1960s, Buckley opposed civil rights legislation and expressed support for continued racial segregation in the South. In Freedom is Not Enough, the opening of the American workplace, author Nancy McLean states that the National Review made James K. Kilpatrick a prominent supporter of segregation in the South. Quote, it's the voice on the civil rights movement and the Constitution, as Buckley and Kilpatrick united North and South in a shared vision for the nation that included upholding white supremacy. End quote. In the August 24th, 1957, the issue of National Review, Buckley's editorial, quote, Why the South Must Prevail, spoke out explicitly in favor of temporary segregation in the South until, quote, long-term equality could be achieved, end quote. Buckley opened that temporary segregation in the South was necessary at the time because the black population lacked the education, economic, and cultural development to make racial equality possible. And goes on to say Buckley claimed that the white South had, quote, the right to impose superior mores for whatever period it takes to effect genuine cultural equality between the races. Buckley said white Southerners were entitled to disenfranchise black voters because for the first time it is the advanced race. Because for the time being, it is the time it is the advanced race. Buckley characterized blacks as distinctly ignorant. Quote, the great majority of the Negroes of the South who do not vote do not care to vote and would not know what to vote for if they could. So, I'm reiterating this from an old video I made, but if this was coincidental, this next one cements the pattern. It seems to connect with William F. Buckley Jr.'s nephew attending January 6th Capitol riot. So, of course, after Trump's inauguration, he did what he promised, signing an executive order to pardon all 1,500 rioters who entered the Capitol. Despite politicians held up in the building surrounded by rioters and cops being injured during the event, Trump claims his rioter supporters were the true hostages, claiming it was so unconstitutional that criminals being set free, uh, claiming it was so unconstitutional that criminals being set free into the public was written into the Constitution. Quote, acting pursuant to the grant of authority in Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution of the United States, I do hereby commute the sentences of the following individuals convicted of offenses related to events that occurred at or near the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021, to time served as of January 20th, 2025. Jesus Christ. So you can see everything is pretty much falling apart. Luckily, for all of this happening, there's legal challenges for Trump's executive orders. Most of these laws go taking us back hundreds of years into our country, like the Comstock Laws, the Alien Enemies Act, and attempts at removing the 1868 constitutional right of birthright citizenship via the 14th Amendment, which explains all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof and are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. End quote. So Trump digging this far into the country to hollow it out is leading to 22 states suing Trump, despite all the alarmist narratives happening from the country, myself included, as we are to be reminded by the Attorney General of New Jersey. The president cannot, with a stroke of a pen, write the 14th Amendment out of existence, period. Stay strong, guys.